Hey everyone, thank you for joining RevSure's Tunnel Vision webinar. I'm Jerry Henry, Head of Customer Success here at RevSure. Alongside me is my friend Francisco, our Solution Engineer.
Thank you, Jerry. Excited for the webinar today, and just to give just a small intro of who I am. Um, I've been working in the RevOps and marketing ops trenches for years now with companies such as Metadata and Drift, and my passion is helping operationalize insights. And today, that means showing you how to expose the invisible part of your funnel.
Perfect. Thank you, Francisco. Quick intro on myself. Obviously, I mentioned Head of Customer Success. I've spent numerous years in go-to-market at places like Procore, Sendoso, Apollo, leading both marketing and CS, really helping teams activate revenue from their digital signals. So as far as today, we're going to be going over some really great stuff. So to kind of kick off, we will go through why it matters.
Awesome, Jerry. And let's talk about the reality, right? The reality is that 98% of people who come to our site stay anonymous. And when they stay anonymous, right, we have no identity, no follow-up, and no context, right? Missing a prime opportunity, right, to capture those intent actions and follow up meaningfully.
And what's the result there? It's really misalignment, slower pipeline velocity, missed opportunities that were right under your nose if you were aware. And what we do is going to be some great stuff, Francisco.
Absolutely. So, it's about giving you a whole picture, right? And we unmask those anonymous visitors using our first party pixel, right? And then layer on, right, the different partner, our own enrichment and different partners that we work with to not only show you the accounts, right, and those visitors, but then mapping that to your CRM, right? Like really connecting the full picture from visitor to CRM to all the different systems that we have, and then pushing that data so it becomes actionable.
Yeah. So in other words, we're not just tracking traffic, we're illuminating your dark funnel and handing sales a head start. So let's get under the hood a little bit here.
Awesome, right? As we kind of talked about, right? It's account and person identification via our first party tracking pixel and our data partners, right? We also work with using our AI, right? Helping you understand what are those with those visitors, and deduplication and enrichment, right? So everyone that we're seeing, right? Everyone that your sales and marketing teams see are unique. And then integrating that with your CRM and creating new leads and accounts where those are not there.
Exactly. And this is really where your funnel becomes visible with context, not chaos. So obviously we went through a few slides of kind of the why and the what, but now let's go ahead and go through a quick product walkthrough. So Francisco, I will pass the share to you, my friend.
Thank you, Jerry. And I'm excited to dive into the fun of the funnel. Pun fully intended. All right. So here we are in RevSure, right? And here we're looking at the de-anonymized visitors, right? And layering up top, right, that we're seeing from our data partner RB2B, right? And here we're able to look at the timelines, right? What were all those interactions that these visitors took? Looking at their email, looking at their LinkedIn URL, seeing the duration, seeing what was that first touch campaign, what was that last touch, and even, right, one of the key points is understanding what was that last visit timestamp, right? So your sales teams can act upon recency, right? Like who is recently expressing interest. So it's just one layer, right? With another one of our partners, 5x5, right? We see that we have the email, right? And all of those additional data points. And here is where Jerry can add some great insight based on his experience in working across multiple teams and organizations.
Yeah, I think one thing that is super valuable here is really working in tandem with sales. Obviously, we always want to have deal velocity, but also understanding what's really impactful and what are those leading indicators that this could be a good prospect, good opportunity. So one thing that we've noticed here that's been impactful for a lot of our customers and just in my previous lives is really understanding the last visited page type and what was that URL. So through a lot of analytics and research, we can understand that if they are leaving a pricing page, for example, they're interested in understanding the price. If they're leaving a maybe demo or product one and they didn't form fill to request a demo, you know that they at least have piqued interest in understanding more about your platform. Another thing as well that you can do here is set some smart alerts where you can also be notified on a variety of different things, but giving your team those insights of, hey, we know that we have 100 new leads. These are the ones that might be the hottest leads due to them landing on a pricing page and leaving from there, different things from there. Also, wanting to make sure you strike when the iron's hot. So that's where you could also look at the different visitor source times, different things there to make sure that your sales team is well equipped in who they should be reaching out to as they're getting some of those new leads.
Exactly. And as Jerry's saying, right, it's about the scouting, it's about the prioritization. But then when as your teams can layer on the ability to speak to those engagements, right? Speak to the language, speak to what is interesting, right? Your visitors, then that makes any outreach that much more powerful. But seeing how that impact, right? How those individuals that are being brought from your different channels, seeing that across the entire funnel, this is when it becomes very powerful, right? So on my screen right now, we're seeing campaign effectiveness across two channels, paid social and paid search. And here we're seeing the volumes of people, right? So who is coming onto our site from those different channels, but who may have not converted. But the secret sauce is because we have this entire go-to-market motion built out, right? Leveraging RevSure, leveraging our data partners, leveraging that enrichment. Now we're able to zoom in on the exact behavior of those leads. And if we take a look here at Brian, right, we see if we go right to left like a snake, right, we're able to see all of the different actions, all of the different campaigns that Brian interacted with before he even became a known lead, right, where we see that stage movement of lead. Taking that one step further, right, is now that we can zoom in on the behavior, how can we best orchestrate those journeys, right? How can we look at what have people interacted with? And within RevSure, right, we're able to see progression journeys. We're able to see from a starting point of the previous 365 days from visitor to meeting book, right? So up to the point of meeting book, right? That they've been qualified, that they're set up to have a meeting. What has those journeys look like? Of those journeys, which ones are distinct and which ones are unique, and how many leads have those encompassed? And the progress stage can be anything, right? Any stage in your funnel. We've chosen meeting booked, but it could be up to pipeline, up to close one. And even a further layer of insight is you can see where people leaked out, right? So kind of what happened across every step of the journey and across all of the different stages. But being able to triangulate on those specific touch points, then that becomes more powerful, right? As we look at my screen right now, I'm looking at the last touch point. So what was the last thing that people interacted with before they went into the meeting book stage? But I'm also able to see what kickstarted that journey, right? What was that first touch point? And with any, I'm able to see what was the most common touch point. So here we have full visibility from prioritization and scouting to the impact of those visitors across our funnel to being able to leverage it to orchestrate the best journeys and the most meaningful touch points. Jerry?
Yeah, this is great. And it looks like I was about to also mention if anyone has any Q&A. Looks like a few have come in, so I can kind of address them, then we can answer them together. So the first one up, do you support browser fingerprinting?
Yes, we do support browser fingerprinting.
And what does that look like, Francisco? How do we do that?
Sure. So we work across our data partners, right, to stitch those journeys together, right? And some of the examples that I've seen with some of the customers that we worked with, right, is identifying the device, right, that they came on to the site with, as an example.
Yeah, that's great. Then the second one, what kind of data signals does RevSure use to identify visitors?
So the data signals that we use are multiple, right? One of them being our first party tracking pixel, right? So seeing um, what people are seeing, but also, capturing the actions of form submission as well, right? So seeing what pages are they visiting, the form submissions, and then layering that on, right, with enrichment from our data partners.
Yeah, and I think that's also one great thing on a lot of the signals and everything that we just kind of reviewed too. It's not only just about visibility, it's also about actionability. So with RevSure, we have also the ability to filter by buying stage, their intent level, what device they're on. But with this, we also can sync these enriched leads right into your CRM, your marketing automation platform, really making sure that your SDRs gets alert when the intent is still hot. I know one thing based off analytics too is if someone requests a demo and you don't respond within 48 hours, your likelihood of actually booking that meeting decreases. So that's where your SDR team or sales team can really leverage a lot of these alerts to make sure they're getting in front of the right people at the right time to help progress your sales cycle. Looks like we have another question as well. Can this solution be used for both inbound and outbound motions?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the most powerful pieces, right? Every with any and every organization, it's going to be a mixture, right, of feeding the funnel, both from an inbound perspective and an outbound perspective. And the outbound light, let's say that one of your reps sends an email, right, to the to a very interested prospect, a high intent prospect. And the question can become, what happened after that email? Because what may happen is this person is taking all these actions, but it's not being captured, or it's being captured across different systems that do not communicate to one another. With RevSure, all of that is being compiled. So from that email, whatever action that person took, the pages that were visited, and the further intent that that person is expressing will be captured. And we could see it on the prioritization list, and we can even see it on those journeys, and then seeing their journey timeline to best reach out to what they're looking at.
Yeah, that's great. Looks like we have a couple more coming in. So does RevShare have the ability to use AI to help monitor this increased inflow of data so it stays, as we kind of talked about, actionable and in the moment?
Absolutely. One of the key aspects of RevSure, to help you understand, is also having visibility into taking together all those actions that people are taking. What is the propensity? What is that probability that that visitor, that lead will become pipeline? And later down the line, once they hit pipeline, what is the probability that those opportunities tied to those leads will become closed won?
Yeah, and I think that's also something our customers see a lot too, is just with the ingestion of data, really understanding everything historical to then really use data-driven decisions to really understand the kind of what you mentioned, the propensity, probability, things like that, making sure once again you're making the right decisions at the right time. And then it looks like another one. Can RevSure trigger automated workflows as far as Slack CRM alerts the moment an account visits?
I'm so excited that question came through because yes, we're able to. So on one of those first screens that I was showing, the lead prioritization, there's an schedule export button. And in that schedule export button, we can have them be emailed right to the account owner, the opportunity owner, or the owner that's responsible for those. And second to that, it can automatically also flow into Slack. And not only can we do this from a manual perspective, right? You could say like, on daily, um, have the workflow send like the top 50 leads. But we can also use our AI to say, as you're seeing these trends, as you're seeing these different, you know, increases in pipeline propensity, those are the leads that we should prioritize. So it's bringing everything together, right? And allowing you to mold the system into what works best for you and your GTM motion.
No, that's great. So it looks like those are all the questions that came through. So kind of highlight and recap all the fun stuff we went through today. So really understanding, right, why does this matter? Once again, as a reminder, about 98% of your visitors stay hidden. With that, there's no identity, right? If you don't know who they are, you can't really follow up with them. And also with there, if there's no context, you don't really have conversion. So with RevSure, all the things we're able to do, we're able to surface these high level visitors' intent to give your sales team everything they need to make sure that they're following up. A lot of that is once again going through identity match, pushing it to your CRM, leveraging our first party pixel, some of our partners to really unmask who those are. Also understanding how to map those behaviors to those accounts, those personas, whether it's going to be some of those alerts you just discussed, pushing that intelligence into your CRM, whichever way kind of works the most or the best for your teams. Also leveraging some of those AI to detect some of those high intent. Also, as we covered and discussed too, like where did they visit? What type of pages were those? From there, as you start reaching out to those, you'll also understand which ones are the most impactful. And then those are ones that you can continue to progress as you're trying new things as a team or as a company, building different strategies throughout the time. So I hope everyone found this insightful. If this got any of your wheels turning, you want to see how it work with your tech stack, we'd love to go ahead and talk at any time.
You can reach out to Jerry at jerry@revsure.ai or visit our site at revsure.ai. We really thank you for joining, and let's turn your invisible traffic into real revenue today.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks again for joining, and we look forward to discussing this in the future. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Cheers.